All right, so today we're diving deep into risk control in project management, like actually getting a grip on it, not just, hoping for the best.
Absolutely. We're going beyond just identifying risks and getting into that proactive space. How do we stay on top of things and really feel in control?
Exactly. And to guide us on this deep dive, we're drawing insights from project management for project managers by Orlando Casabone. So let's kick things off with the big one, initiating variance measures. What does that even mean in practice?
Well, think of it like this. You've got your risk management plan all set up, right?
Mm.
But then things change. A warning sign pops up. Maybe a risk you thought was low impact suddenly looks like a much bigger deal.
Right, because things never go exactly according to plan.
Exactly. So that's when you need to trigger those variance measures, jump into action.
What kind of actions are we talking about here?
Well, it could be a whole bunch of things. Maybe activating a backup plan that you'd prepped earlier. Or it could be shifting resources around, giving more attention to the risk that's flaring up. The point is, don't wait. The sooner you act, the better.
Makes sense. Now, what happens when a totally new risk pops up, one that wasn't even on your radar when you initially planned everything out?
Yeah, that's where continuous vigilance becomes so crucial. You've got to have systems in place to catch those curveballs, like regular check-ins with your team. Create an environment where everyone feels comfortable speaking up. Hey, I'm noticing this thing. Could it be a problem?
Yeah, getting those early warnings can make all the difference.
Totally. And once you've identified a new risk, you treat it just like the ones you planned for earlier. Assess it. How likely is it? How bad could it be if it hits?
Right.
And then figure out how you're going to manage it.
Okay, so you've got your plan, you're keeping an eye out for new risks, but how do you actually know if your risk responses are working?
Ah, good question. That's where checking the effectiveness of your actions comes in. You need to constantly be asking yourself, is what I'm doing actually reducing the likelihood or the impact of this risk?
So it's not enough to just have a plan. You need to be tracking how it's actually playing out in reality.
Absolutely. Track your key metrics, observe what's happening, and be brutally honest in evaluating if your responses are making a difference. And if they're not, well, be prepared to adjust, to try something different.
Which brings us to risk reviews. How often should those happen?
It really depends. How fast-paced is your project? How complex is it? For something really dynamic, you might need weekly reviews. For a more stable project, maybe monthly is enough. The key is to have dedicated time to step back and look at the big picture. Reassess all your identified risks, see if any new ones have popped up, and really scrutinize how well your current strategies are working.
It's like a health check for your project's risk profile.
Precisely.
Now, let's talk about those moments when your initial plans just aren't cutting it, or when a massive, unexpected risk throws a wrench in the works. What triggers the need for, plan B or plan C?
Well, it could be a major unforeseen event,
Mm.
something that throws everything off course. Or it could be that you're seeing clear evidence that your initial responses just aren't containing a risk, like it's escalating despite your best efforts. That's when you know you need to come up with additional plans.
Like having layers of defense.
Exactly.
Earlier, you mentioned that analyzing risks is an ongoing process. Why is that? Why not just do it once at the beginning and be done with it?
Well, because projects are constantly in motion, right? Things evolve. Risks that seemed minor at the start can become major threats.
Hmm.
New risks emerge that you couldn't have anticipated. So ongoing analysis helps you stay ahead of the curve. Make sure your risk management approach stays relevant and effective throughout the entire project lifecycle.
It's like you're constantly scanning the horizon for potential storms.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Okay, now let's talk about contingency reserves. This is basically setting aside money to deal with unexpected problems, right?
Exactly. It's like a financial cushion. Stuff happens, risks materialize, and you need to have resources available to handle the fallout.
How do you decide how much to put in these reserves?
Well, it comes down to quantifying the potential financial impact of your identified risks. For instance, let's say you've got a risk that has a 50-50 chance of causing a $10,000 setback. That means the expected monetary value is $5,000.
Right, because it might happen, it might not, but you need to account for that possibility.
Exactly. And that expected monetary value, it feeds directly into determining how much you need to set aside in your contingency reserves.
It seems like having those well-defined response plans in place from the start is absolutely critical.
It's the foundation. Without those plans, you're just reacting to every problem as it pops up, which is way less efficient and often way more expensive.
And finally, how does putting a dollar value on risks actually help in managing them?
It helps you prioritize. By calculating the expected monetary value of each risk, you can see which ones pose the biggest financial threat.
So you're focusing your energy and resources on the risks that could really hurt the bottom line.
Precisely.
So it sounds like actively controlling project risks is a constant cycle. You're taking action, staying vigilant, checking if your actions are working, reassessing the landscape, and always being ready to adapt.
You got it. It's about proactive management, not just playing catch up when things go wrong.
It's about weaving risk management into the very fabric of your project.
Absolutely.
So for our listeners out there, think about how you can integrate these proactive monitoring and controlling tasks into your own projects. How can you stay ahead of the game and achieve more predictable outcomes? If you're looking for a deeper dive into all these crucial concepts, we highly recommend checking out Project Management for Project Managers by Orlando Casabone.
It's a great resource.
That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Thanks for having me.